Welcome back to today's explainer. Look, if you manage multiple digital accounts, you already know how absolutely critical a reliable anti-detect browser is. And yeah, you probably also know that sheer sinking panic of a sudden account ban. It's the worst. So today, we're evaluating the top BitBrowser alternatives on the market. We're going to break down the data, map out the whole landscape, and guide you to the perfect multi-account management tool for your exact workflow.
Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here's our roadmap. First, we'll examine exactly why users are leaving BitBrowser, then we'll compare 8 top alternatives, help you choose your ideal match, and finally, map out a foolproof 4-step migration plan. All right, part 1, the BitBrowser dilemma. Across the industry right now, there's a huge growing trend. Digital marketers, e-commerce sellers, agency owners, they're actively looking to transition away from BitBrowser, even with its massive initial popularity. Let's look at what's actually driving this shift.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast driving that shift. BitBrowser has undeniable strengths, right? It's highly affordable, supports batch profile creation, and makes cookie importing super easy. But the friction points are just getting too big for a lot of people. Users are reporting major concerns around data sovereignty because of its Chinese origin, not to mention limited English support, somewhat clunky interfaces, and spoofed fingerprints that sometimes literally fail advanced detection tests.
Which brings us right into section 2, top 8 alternatives compared. If those weaknesses we just talked about resonated with you, hey, you're definitely not alone. So we're going to look objectively at the broader landscape of tools available right now and exactly how they step up to solve these specific pain points.
But before we just rattle off a list of tools, we kind of need to understand a fundamental architectural shift happening in the industry. On one side, we've got traditional desktop architecture. Think BitBrowser and GoLogin, which relies on local software spoofing a fingerprint. On the flip side, we have cloud architecture, like Send.win, which actually completely abandons spoofing. Instead, it runs isolated, genuinely unique browser sessions directly in the cloud. It's a totally different approach to isolation.
Now, looking at this bird's eye view of our top 8 contenders, you can see the landscape is pretty clearly split. On one end, we have free tier heavyweights like Dolphin Anty and Incognitant, giving you a generous 10 free profiles. On the other end, we've got premium enterprise-grade solutions like Multilogin starting at €99 a month. You'll also notice distinct variations across the board when it comes to native cloud access, team features, and the actual quality of English support.
Let's break these down a bit, starting with Send.win. According to the source material, Send.win brings a really unique value proposition to the table precisely because of that cloud-based architecture we just mentioned. Rather than just masking your device locally, it gives you sandbox browser isolation with genuine, non-spoofed fingerprints. Plus, it operates on an encrypted cloud infrastructure and lets you do password-free session sharing. For team collaboration, that is a massive security upgrade.
Next up is Multilogin. Think of this as the premium, established powerhouse of the bunch. If you're someone who needs the absolute highest quality spoofed fingerprints and robust API access, well, this is your enterprise standard. It actually uses 2 custom browser engines, Mimic for Chromium and StealthFox for Firefox. But keeping it real, it does come with a premium price tag starting at €99 a month, which obviously makes it quite a bit more expensive than BitBrowser.
Now, if you actually prefer that traditional desktop experience, GoLogin and VMLogin are really solid, reliable transitions. GoLogin is a great budget-friendly middle ground, and it notably gives you a free built-in proxy for every single profile, which is a nice touch. VMLogin, on the other hand, is architecturally very similar to BitBrowser. It also shares a Chinese origin, but it stands out by giving you significantly better English language documentation and way more responsive customer support.
For the marketers joining us, you'll want to look closely at AdsPower. This is a highly specialized tool tailored specifically for digital advertisers and social media managers. Its absolute standout feature is a visual RPA, that's Robotic Process Automation Builder. Basically, it lets you automate repetitive tasks like account warm-ups or batch operations with absolutely no coding required. And let's be honest, that is a massive relief for those of us who aren't developers.
So the crucial point here is that you don't actually have to sacrifice your free tier just because you're leaving BitBrowser. Both Dolphin Anty and Incognito generously match BitBrowser's offering of 10 free profiles. Dolphin Anty gives you a super clean interface with a great cookie robot, while Incognito brings a really unique profile synchronizer that literally mirrors your actions across multiple profiles at the exact same time.
Finally, we have Chameleon. Now, this tool has a very specific superpower.
mobile environments. If your day-to-day workflow relies heavily on mobile accounts, Camilio is absolutely the standout choice because it offers the relatively rare capability of Android device fingerprint spoofing, right alongside your standard desktop profiles.
All right, moving into section 3, choosing your ideal match. We've seen all the data, but information is only really useful when you apply it. So let's filter these 8 tools through a decision matrix framed entirely around your specific personal pain points.
First up, I want you to just reflect for a second on your primary catalyst for change. Did you initiate this search because of privacy and data sovereignty concerns? For a lot of users managing sensitive business data, the data handling policies of their browser are literally the absolute top priority.
If privacy is your main driver, the sources clearly point to these 3 options. Send.win gives you an encrypted cloud infrastructure and Western data hosting. Then you have Dolphin and Multilogin, which were established companies with highly transparent data handling policies. Moving to any of these 3 effectively resolves those data sovereignty questions that sometimes come up with Chinese origin platforms.
Next question. Are you a power user or maybe an agency owner who just found that BitBrowser wasn't robust enough anymore? Do you require deeper fingerprint customization or maybe secure team collaboration so you can confidently scale up your operations?
For the heavy-duty operators out there, your shortlist is going to look like this. Multilogin provides the deepest technical fingerprint customization available, hands down. Camilio is there to handle your complex mobile scaling. And for team management, Send.win leads the pack with password-free session sharing and strict role-based access. That means you never actually have to hand over real login credentials to your staff, which is a game changer.
Oh, let's be practical for a second, though. Is budget your absolute primary concern right now? Totally understandable. For so many independent users and small businesses, keeping overhead costs low is the ultimate deciding factor when picking a new software tool.
And this brilliantly illustrates how incredibly competitive the market is for affordable, high-quality alternatives. Dolphin Anty and Incognito can immediately replace your 10 free profiles without skipping a beat. If you do need to scale up slightly, AdsPower starts at just $9 a month, and Send.win also offers a really capable free demo tier for its cloud-based sessions if you want to test those out.
Which brings us to section 4, 4 steps to migrate. Making the decision is honestly only half the battle. Now we need a clear, actionable guide to physically move your digital assets over from BitBrowser to your new tool, without triggering any of those dreaded account bans.
Let's move to our next slide and see how this builds into a really foolproof migration playbook. Step 1. Meticulously export your cookies, your proxy configurations, and document your existing fingerprint settings right out of BitBrowser. Step 2. Set up your new tool and import all that data. Step 3, this is key, before logging in anywhere, verify your new fingerprints using tools like browserleaks.com and Creep.js. And finally, step 4 is the actual gradual migration of your accounts.
I really want to pause and emphasize this specific security detail directly from the source material. Consider this your crucial migration rule. Do not move all your accounts at once. Seriously, move them one at a time. Wait 24 to 48 hours between migrating accounts on the exact same platform. And always use the exact same proxy credentials you were using previously so you maintain that IP consistency.
To wrap up our analysis today, this quote from the source material just perfectly summarizes the core philosophy of this whole explainer. The key is finding a tool that you trust with your data, that fits your budget, and that integrates smoothly into your workflow. There is no single universal best tool out there. The ideal multi-account browser is highly subjective. It's all about finding that sweet spot of trust, budget, and seamless integration for your unique situation.
You now have the data, the comparisons, and the step-by-step migration playbook right at your fingertips. So I'm going to leave you with this. Are you going to stick with a setup that makes you nervous, or will you migrate to a tool that lets you scale with total confidence starting today? Dive in, make the switch, and optimize your workflow. Thanks so much for learning with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.